Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket nines. This will be a little bit different because we have a three-way pot. So I'm under the gun. I open raise to 3 big blinds. So early position play, I'm running this. I included ace 2, ace 3, these small pocket pairs. The way that this table was going, it seemed to be a decent table. It seemed like I could raise and pick up spots pretty easily, so I do think I can go ahead and raise those and see what happens. Definitely, early position. You can see I've been playing a few more hands, 19% VPIP, which is higher than normal. But I'm picking up pots. So I got called in 2 spots. One spot's an unknown. This is his first hand playing. This other one's playing 32-18. When we look at his VPIP stats, it's 36% from the button, 27% pre-flop raise, 40% raise first in. He didn't limp. He has limped early and mid position, but not from late position. He's 3-bet 50%, 1 out of 2. This is the first time that he's called a 2-bet. He's called from the cutoff. He's called from the small blind. So just two different opponents. Now the question is, what kind of ranges do they have? Well, I've got 2 ranges here, kind of like a wider range, something like this, that I think a button might play. Like this button might play something like this, having at least 1 caller behind. I would assume queens plus ace king's gonna raise. A lot of suited aces, connectors, 1-cappers, hands that I think players are just gonna give up and fold if they don't connect. So I've got a wider range. This is 23%, and I also have a tighter range where it's like pocket pairs, a couple broadways, suited, offsuit, and then just a couple suited connectors, something much tighter. This is 8%. This could be something like villain 7 if he plays that. So I started off with the wide range at this table, just because we've got what appears to be a looser player in the button. Flop comes ace jack 5. In terms of who looks better, I think this is, I have aces. I've got jacks and 5s, but they have jacks and 5s. I don't think this is going to be a board that's going to generate a whole lot of folds. And since I only have pocket 9s, I kind of feel like in my initial pre-flop raising range, pocket 9s ends up being one of those hands that probably don't c-bet. So I checked, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to check GTO. What do I do? And GTOs, we're going to assume we're up against 1 player, not 2, which means I think if GTO suggests, let's say c-betting 60%, it's probably going to be less than that because we're up against 2 players. Turn was a 10. Everyone checked. This could have been a good spot now to go ahead and fire, but I think somebody that would have played a 9-10 now picks up a hand that they're going to call with. So I think the 10 was probably bad. I think if this was like a 2, 3, a 4, maybe even a 6 or a 7, we could go ahead and bet. But with the 10, I just think that's going to hit way too many hands. Even if I was ahead, I think I'm now behind. So I checked it. River was a 5. I don't think that changes anything. It just pairs the board. So I checked it, and it gets checked through. So I'm going to check GTO and look at like some of the c-bet stats and see what it looks like. So here's a GTO. Got my ranges here. My c-betting range is 46%. When we look at it, you can see pocket 9s is looking at mostly a check. I've got 9 of diamonds, 9 of hearts. We could have bet, but when we're looking at it, this is like 70-30, 71-29 type of breakdown. 72, this is 72-28. So 28% bet, 78% check. I'm not surprised. I would have c-bet these small pocket pairs. because I don't think we really have much equity with these hands. We don't have any possibility of improving drastically with these hands, whereas with, you know, 8s or 9s, we do have some showdown. I mean, we're going to be ahead of the lower pocket pairs, but these smaller pocket pairs, I think our only way to win is to get people to fold. So I think we're using these kind of as bluffs, and there's offsetting these ace queen, ace king, aces, ace, you know, these big pocket pair type of hands. Kings is a check. I think that's pretty standard. I think this is going to be a check call. So if we check and then we've got villain that bets, I do think we're calling kings and queens. We're looking at a check raise with jacks. If we checked aces, we're looking at a raise with aces. Same thing with 5s. Looks like we're folding some of these. Definitely leaning towards a call if we have the heart. So I think that's kind of interesting. I think if I checked and someone bet, I probably would have folded here, especially if, let's say, this guy bet, this guy calls. I think I think we have reason to fold, that we're probably behind to either an ace or a jack at that point. But heads up, it's good to see that, yeah, we should be calling here, especially, again, if we have that heart, because we've got the backdoor heart draw. It got checked through. So 10 of diamonds came up next. Now we're betting at 30%. It looks like we are just checking here. No heart draw. I'm going to guess if we check and someone bets, we're still probably going to call with like kings and queens. We're still, these times we check with aces and jacks, we're gonna be definitely calling, probably raising those. Maybe check raising like a heart draws. So let's see here, if we check and someone bets, you know, at 31%. Small percentage to check raise with like king queen of hearts. So flush and, oh no, that's a straight with a heart draw. 8, 9, small percentage, but mostly if we're going to check, it would be like a check call at this point. We would dump all of these cards. Yeah, we have some calls that we can make with our 9s, but not a huge number. Ace 2 would be calls, you know, so top pair, weak kicker, and I think we're calling those because no one really showed any sort of strength on the flop, and now on the turn, somebody could easily be betting here with a jack or with a 10. So we have basically a bluff catcher. That's what we've done, or at least that's how we're playing it. So we checked, but what if we bet? If we bet, villain's going to be calling here. Doesn't recommend raising at all. So we could be betting, you know, quite a few. So we checked. 5 of diamonds, I believe. 5 of diamonds comes out. So everyone checks. Now it's on us. We're out of position. We do have some showdown value with our small pocket, or with our middle pocket pair. At this point, if it checked all the way through and we have kings, or if we have queens, we are betting here. I don't know if I would have done that. Probably would have check called, but that is kind of a way we check, you know, check flop, check turn, and then we could bet and probably get a call from a jack or a 10. So I guess we're going for some value. Definitely betting our ace high hands, you know, all those hands that would have gotten there by checking. We're betting these small pocket pairs as bluff, but we don't have a huge number of these. So we check, guy bets. We could possibly call here. So if we have the 9 of hearts, it's suggesting we call. It's suggesting we call with the 9s, call with the 8s, with the 8 of hearts. We're protecting against bluffs at this point. I don't think with 3 opponents we're going to be doing that. I think with 3 opponents it's probably best just to go ahead and fold those, because I think the chance that at least one of them has a 10 or a jack is probably pretty good. So while GTO is saying I should be calling with this hand, I think versus 3 opponents, we probably have to fold. So this is kind of interesting. We had possibility of c-betting here, but it looks like I just kind of played it okay with my nines. At least, if this was heads up, and trying to explain it to an extra player here. Looks like I played it fine, and that's with this wide range. Now we did get to showdown. So what did people show? Well, we had pocket eights, and then we had king 10. So I think pocket eights was fine. Definitely in that range. I also think that's kind of in this tighter range here. King 10 suited was in this wider range. So maybe if when we rerun this, maybe we add king 10 suited here. Just add those, make it to 9%, and just see, loose versus tighter range, what happens. But right now versus this big loose range, it does look like we played it fine. So let's go ahead and update this range. There we go. We're going to rebuild our tree. What we'll do is we will run our solver and we will be back. All right, solver's done. Still looking at like a 37% c-betting range. Nines with that heart is betting even less. We're up against a much tighter range, a range that is likely not going to fold to at least one bet. Between top pair, second pair with jacks, draws, gut shot draws, I think really hands that we're looking at folding, or that probably is folding, are going to be these under pairs. And probably the suited connectors. All of these are going to be calling. So you can see if I bet GTO suggesting we're calling with a lot of those. Even King Queen does recommend sometimes folding these. And it's because I should be heavy with my aces. And you're basically drawn to a gut shot at that point. I do think players call with the King Queen. So they call when they shouldn't call, which gives us profit. But yeah, it looks like we're still checking here. If villain bets, we could call. Definitely favor calling with a 9 of hearts. I think heads up, that's appropriate versus 2 players. Again, if he bets and pocket eights call, I think we could be justified in folding. If he checks pocket eights bets, then we're kind of in a tough spot, because if we call, we could set up a possible squeeze by this player, especially if he's got like a heart draw or something like that, like a heart draw with a gut shot. That could be actually a pretty decent play. Puts a lot of pressure on, him because he bet, and now pre-flop raiser calls. And then it's on me too, because now I'm thinking, wow, I checked, I gave up the lead. I'm not exactly representing a monster hand here with a check. So yeah, even though it says call, probably we could fold. So we checked through on the flop. Now even lower, we should be checking here. Kings, king queen of hearts we could bet, kind of balancing that with like our ace 10 of hearts, ace queen, ace king, aces. Small pocket pairs we could bet. I want to go back. Small pocket pairs are still 2s and 3s are still bets. 4s become more of a check because we're up against tighter range, but still we're going to use those real small pocket pairs as bluffing hands here. And just out of curiosity, if we bet and we get called, are we still betting those? No, we're not. We bet 36, and once we get called, it's like we are checking all the way here. It's just 10 of diamonds hits such a huge part of their range that it's going to be hard for us to balance a checking range. So it's probably better just to go ahead and check everything else. I think that's important to know. I think a lot of people fire that second barrel, if we fire that second barrel, you can see you got king queens betting. You've got all these other calls. These two pair hands that are calling. Ace jack, ace 10, king, jack 10. You got tens. You've got jacks here. So check, check. We check again. I think if villain bets, we're still kind of folding. It's that turn 10 of diamonds wasn't that great for us. Connected with quite a few of the ranges, so yeah, we should be checking again. 5 of diamonds hit, so now we've gone check the flop, check the turn. Now we're looking at trying to get some value so we could bet now. So betting our aces, betting our kings or queens, kind of going for value. Pocket nines is a check, pocket eights is a check, so those mid pocket pairs are still checks. Even 10-9's a check here. I do think if we check and villain bets, GTO is going to probably recommend calling with the 10. Somewhat calling with the 9s, but I'm going to go with my interpretation for the last one. If we get if this villain bets and the next villain calls, I think we are justified in folding these smaller pocket pairs. But I went check, check. So I think even versus the tighter range, our play looks okay. Yeah, pocket nines. It's one of the reasons I looked at this is a friend suggested you probably could have won this hand. You probably could have taken the pot. Yeah, it probably could have. When we think about it, if I bet, I'm not sure if king 10 calls. I'm not sure if pocket 8s call. If pocket 8s calls once, then I don't think he's calling that second time, not when the 10 comes. So definitely, I think if I bet the flop and if I bet the turn, I'm probably picking up this pot. But I'm thinking in terms of my entire strategy here to say, what do I do with everything? Yeah, it's easy to say I could have gotten them all to fold based on their range, but I've got this range. They have either this or this. How do we handle it? And I just kind of feel like the best play with our middle cards here is just to go ahead and check and possibly check call. But main point being not to bet, not to be super aggressive, because I don't think I'm generating enough folds to balance the value and the bluff hands that I have. So hopefully you enjoyed this hand. Did 2 different ranges. If you did, look tomorrow for another hand.